Hi, this is Mr. Capert. In this video, I'm going to show you how to create a graph that shows the mass of your pennies versus the distance that it threw the marble. This is the last step with this data collection. You should have already in a previous assignment created this table, and you should have already gotten all your testing data entered. So you should have already fired your catapult with varying masses of pennies and recorded how far it threw in meters. Make sure that you put everything in the correct unit. So pennies, the mass should have been in kilograms. The distance thrown should have been in meters. Now this is a little tricky to making this graph. This program is not as sophisticated as Microsoft Excel, which is what professionals use out in the field. So what you're going to want to do is highlight all of your masses for the pennies. This is going to end up being your Y values. So through some trial and error, I figured out this is the best way of inserting a chart, is to first highlight your Y values. You're going to then insert a chart. It will bring up a generic bar graph. Now you're going to want to move this out of the way of your data, and then what I would do is then slide over so you can see the whole table. You want to change this to a scatter chart. Alright, next thing is the X values are not correct in this table. It didn't know what you wanted the X axes to be. So what you want to do is then add your X axes. That is going to be the distance that it threw. This R actual. Make sure you highlight them all and hit OK. Now you're going to customize this. You need to have labels on everything. So hit customize and then go to chart and axis titles. And the first thing you can put in is the chart title. So we want to call this counterweight mass versus range. Next step, you want to do a horizontal. So the horizontal should be your range in meters. Make sure you always put your units next to the variable name and you put it in parentheses as shown. Next, you want to do your vertical axes on this. That is going to be counterweight mass. Actually, let's call that mass of the pennies. Let's get real specific on that. Mass of the pennies. You could put counterweight mass if you wanted to, but specifically, this is the mass of just the pennies that's been plotted. Now, the next thing, let's check this series. Notice I hit series. I'm underneath this tab now. And this is the most important part. This is what we've been working for through all this data collection and building these tables, is adding a trend line that best fits this data. Notice it's not perfect because when you test your catapult, your data collection is not going to be perfect. This is a best fit line. And this is what we were really looking for. Doing all of this is this equation. This is super important. For some reason, this Google Sheets uses a blue circle to denote the Y value. So what this is saying is the mass of your pennies is equal to 0.03 times range, because your X value is range, plus 7.27 times 10 to the negative third. So that would be your equation in this instant. Make sure that you record your equation on this line within the worksheet. This is number 8B. So make sure you write down your equation, and you are going to replace the circle with mass of pennies, and the X will be your range. I hope you get an easier number than this last one here. If not, I'll have to explain to you what this means. Hope this helps. Let me know if you have any other questions. But you're going to use this equation in the competition to determine the mass of the pennies that you need to throw a certain distance. This is going to be crucial that you have this.